Turbo Conquering Mega Eagle! Hello folks, how are you doing? Bit of a different one today. Won't be a blackboard session, but you know, kind of along the same lines. We're not making anything. Got an amazing surprise. It's arrived. I'll show you that in a minute. And I've been model making, yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, let me please introduce to you the workshopolopulouse. Okay. Alright. I don't know how to do this. Shall we go through the workshopolopulouse first, or have a look outside at the probably the coolest bit of kit I got so far for this whole. Let's go outside. I'll show you that first, isn't it? Get that out of the way. Okay, folks. Here's the little surprise. A little surprise, big and heavy surprise. Yeah. Oh, good. So I'll just show you. Yeah, look at this. Check this out. Wait. Okay. All right. So I thought I was buying a logging winch, and yeah, this is a logging winch. It's been used as a logging winch, but it wasn't originally a logging winch. Like, so this is something I've been looking for a little while. A hydraulically driven winch. You know, not a silly little light duty one like you get on a recovery lorry, or for 4x4s or something. I wanted something really heavy duty to operate the elevator or lift, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. You can see here we got the linkage points to go on a tractor. So someone's been in the woods using this for dragging trees about, I think. But that's not where it's originally from, you know. I only just saw this morning. Up close for the first time. It got delivered by a lorry. Lorry came to the other side of the railway line, so I had to drive around with the truck and then we slid it on. But yeah, I don't know how much it's going to mean to a lot of you, but there we go. That's the Coles crane badge, yeah. And you know, for anyone who doesn't know who Coles cranes are, you're obviously not too genned up on your vintage British machinery. Yeah, they were quite an important crane company. You know, they got big during the war because they made a lot of cranes for recovering aircraft and stuff like that. And then most famously the Iron Fairy, but they made cranes of all size. You know, biggest cranes in the country down to little yard cranes. Okay, I've managed to get myself in the worst possible situation with this. Load on the crane and bunched up cables. Let's just... no, I'll figure something else. I'll get the jack out here and lift that up and get that all sorted. Anyway, look. This is a pretty cool thing. Having this colossal winch means that I can have a really big lift lift car. I don't know even what you call it. I don't know much about lifts, but I know this is perfect. I was chatting with my mate, and yeah, he's big into his electronic controls and factories and that, and you know, I was just running things by him, what I wanted to do with my electric tractor and also this lift, and he's, you know, everything AC motors, everything linear actuators and all that. I just can't see it. You know, I spent a long time working on hydraulics, but very different hydraulics to this. The sort of hydraulics you find in an aircraft are pretty simple circuits. I mean, and the complexities all always within you know, power packs and that. So you'll have the power pack with built-in sequence valves and that, and as far as the fit is concerned, all you've got to worry about is the condition of it all and the hoses on the outside, you know. So I'm a little bit unfamiliar with stuff like this. I think this line that's broken off the front here, that's going to be some sort of brake, I think, unless this whole thing's lubricated. I can't imagine it being lubricated with hydraulic fluid, but maybe, I don't know. I'll have a look for some literature. The fact that it's a Coles unit with a part number there means I've got a lot more hope of finding some manuals and that, and making sure it's right. I don't know the tonnage of this, but I had thought it was about 10 ton when I bought it, but looking at the size of everything, I think maybe double that. I don't know. Like I say, it's at least a 10 ton winch, so yeah, it's an absolute unit, isn't it? So what you see, it used to have a cable layer. I suppose you can see a little sprocket there, and that, I'm pretty sure that would have been a powered fair lead to wind the cable up nicely, which obviously we haven't got now. I'm not overly concerned about that. I only want to put, you know, a sort of maximum 2 ton lift. That'd be awesome, so I can get machinery down into the hole in that. Yeah, I think even 2 tons probably more than I need, but with something like this, I'll know that there's no way that I'm ever going to exceed its rated capacity, and then I suppose they're, you know, I'll have to make the supporting structure, perhaps not 20 tons worth of supporting structure, but you know, it's nice to have a safety margin of 2.5, I suppose, in anything that isn't trying to fly, and what. So it's going to have to be fairly heavy, but I want it not steampunky, but you know, sort of old worldy, bit Victorian looking. Yeah. With the hydraulics, I should be able to really easily set up. I don't know whether I'd have the hydraulics. The real question for me is whether I do it all mechanically controlled hydraulics, i.e. with levers and valves, or whether you know, if I have a nice reliable hydraulic winch, whether I then control it electronically. And you know, the reason there's any question about that is so that it doesn't just smash down into the bottom or ride up into the structure at the top, or the lift itself hits the winch or something like that. You know, I want restricted orifice lines, so you'd have 2 sets of lines for up and down, and you know, you break it by, you got a main full bore pipe, and then that one's restricted, and when it's going up or down, both of them are getting fluid under pressure, and then when you get near the bottom or near the top, it switches the full bore one off, so you're just on the restricted orifice, and you can, you know, there's so many ways of really easily controlling hydraulics, and I can switch them. I could do it electronically, or electrically with micro switch, electronically with something cleverer, not that I'm into that, or mechanically just set that up on rods, push rods and that, which would probably be the most fail proof. I don't know, I'm more confident with that sort of thing, but I'd like to hear your guys, you know, your thoughts on it. And the other thing is, yeah, if anyone knows, before I look at before I try and find the manuals, if what sort of sequencing valves these are, and if that really is a brake on the front, I don't know. You know, we've obviously got two big lines here, and I don't really know what they're doing. So these are the feed lines, and all the other lines, I think, apart from that little fella there, oh, that's blanked off. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Don't know what these are all for, but maybe there's someone with experience with Coles cranes. I mean, this kind of looks like the sort of size to be on a Iron Fairy. Was that Coles or someone else? Don't know. I'm pretty sure that's Coles, and it Coles Iron Fairy. Maybe it's Fairy. Well, hang on a minute. Okay, alright, so that's the winch anyway. I'm, as you can probably tell, very excited about this. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so you just seen the winch, and it's a lovely winch. I think you'll agree. The perfect winch for a underground bunker workshop lift. I think so anyway. It's a bit of a peach. It's a bit of, I mean, obviously I've got no idea if it works yet, but it might need a bit of work. Hey ho, we'll cross that bridge when, and it, you know, yeah, should allow me to, most importantly, you know, do my permanent lift installation, get everything nice and safe and solid and robust and really heavy, and run it off a diesel engine, and then as I build the rest of this this mighty workshopolopulouse, you know, we can switch to electric and that. Yeah, so that's the idea, and that's one of the reasons of going with hydraulic as opposed to you know, just doing it electric. And if I get my sums wrong and you know, I put too big or too small a pump on, that's easily rectified. You know, once you've got the hydraulic motor set up on that winch, you know, really, if I find myself not having enough power or having too much speed, all I have to do is alter the sort of output from the engine or the motor. So that's good. That's really good. And the winch itself will be located here. So right now we don't have any of these buildings. Oh, we don't have any of it. All we have right now is the entrance tunnel. Yeah. So let me explain what's going on here. So really the workshop that I'm in, that I've been in, is pretty much the only reason I bought this house. And I'm very glad I did. I like it here. You know, I like this house, and I bought it for because it had a nice big shed and a decent sized garden and that, and it's good, and it's cheap. You know, that's always important, isn't it? But you know, pretty much as soon as I moved in, I into the shed. Yeah, I realised that, you know, it's fine for now, but its days are numbered, and I've got all the timbers are rotten out where they meet the ground. So you know, and the floors cracked terribly, and that side of it is slowly sliding off into the dike. I've got big cracks opening up on the floor. I do need a new shed, and a shed that will take heavier tools as well. So really on the top here you can see is a shed complex, a complex shed among rather than having one big shed. I really like the idea of having you know, smaller spaces. I worked in really big hangars and, you know, tiny hangars. The little hangar that I was running was you know, considered a very small hangar, and you know, realistically you could only get 3 aircraft in there, and it's a very low roof, but that had a lot of benefits. Yeah, like in order to get it warm, it did take a lot of effort because it's still a big space, but for an aircraft hangar we could get the whole hangar warm, which is, you know, which is pretty rare, and I consider myself lucky. Even in the middle of winter, we had an old oil burner. It was a brand new waste oil burner. It burnt old oil. That's what I'm trying to say. I've got a splinter. Yeah. Yeah. Most blokes have got you know, 40-foot ceilings and what you know, having to work in front of space heaters and that. That's what I was doing at the old place. Not ever so nice, and there's a lot of benefits to being able to warm up the entire space as opposed to just a local area that you're working in. Mostly for your tools and that, and anything that's in that space won't get the condensation. So yeah, 3 small sheds, but also we can divide them. So the idea of having 3 small sheds for a workshop are, you know, I can have a machine shop, an area for woodworking, and this, which is where the containers are right now. This would be an assembly area, a dirty area, assembly area, that sort of thing. So machine shop would have all my you know, my lathe and anything else like that. I do want to get some better quality older sheet metal working tools. You know, wood shop, and because they open up into the assembly area. If I am building something really stupid like an aircraft fuselage or a 40-foot long canoe or something, I can, you know, go right through from the back of this shed right up to the front of the assembly area. You know, I've got options open to me. You know, alright. Okay, so that's the idea, the above ground complex. But then, you know, what everyone wants to know, that winch obviously will be on a steel structure in the machine shop. Yeah, so that'll be a place where there's dust in the wood shop. That'll be a place where there's dust in the assembly area and painting and everything else. But the machine shop will be spotlessly clean all the time. And I like the idea of putting tiles everywhere. I don't know why. I like tiles and oil together. They're kind of, you know, a nice combination that we don't see enough of. Like some of my favourite architecture is London pubs, like proper boozers, and you see them in other big cities as well. Hull's got a nice old tiled pub, you know, and I suppose in different parts of the world you wouldn't have seen them, but you know, it's from the old days when a landlord expected every sort of bodily fluid to be spilt over his premises in an evening's drinking, you know, and like in the Wild West, I've seen John Wayne films and that, you know, everything's made out of matchsticks, isn't it? So when they have a bar fight, it just splinters and falls apart, you know. Great, okay, no one gets hurt, and maybe it's cheap in the first place and it's cheap to replace, but things were different over here, you know. Everything was made of the hardest possible materials, isn't it? Like, maybe life was cheaper in a 19th century East End boozer, I don't know. But yeah, you see all these beautiful contoured tiles and that, they're all shaped, so you'll have pointy bits like a dado rail around the outside of the pub, but all in tile, you know, and different coloured tiles. So you'll have 2 tones, so you might have a burgundy tile at the bottom where all the blood's going to end up, and then everything above that will be a nice green colour. Yeah, really, really lovely. I don't know, you can't call it pretty architecture, but either way, that's the sort of thing I want inside my machine shop. I just think it would be lovely. Perhaps everything though, epoxy screeded floors. I worked on screeded epoxy floors before, and it's, you know, if money was no option, that's what I'd do. Not tiles on the floor, obviously, in a machine shop. That'd be silly, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so the lift gear, including that lovely Coles winch, would be up here in this building. And right above the main entrance shaft to the underground area, you know, right. I might get a little tipple of rum. Would that be all right if I had a little glass of rum whilst I chatted to you? I think so. Been off the booze, you know. Hardly drunk anything since Christmas. Hey, you know, the odd wee little drink, but you know, I think now's an okay time because I just got that winch, isn't it? You know. Okay, where were we at? Lift shaft, the winch, the above ground structures. Yeah, above ground structures. The shaft that we're in now, I think I showed you on the most recent videos a couple of little details, like what I was doing with the lifting eyes in the pipe sections. I was bonding thread inserts in there. I've sort of semi-designed the lift system. Very, very simple. I am thinking about a braking system. You know, should for any reason cable tension just go completely, having something that locks up the locks up the lift itself. I don't know about that. It's not that big a distance. What, 30 foot? Would a 30-foot drop kill you if you're pointing the right way in an elevator? Probably, maybe, I don't know. I mean, dropping things down that hole like drop a shovel down and just before it hits the bottom, like the noise it makes changes, isn't it? To a sounds like it's going to go supersonic, but I don't know. The sort of whistling noise, when you're at a dangerous height where things might start to hurt you. That's been what I've fell off plenty of roofs, isn't it, and out of plenty of trees. But anyway, so the lifting eye holes will have a nice big steel bar either side, and then the ventilation will also run up there in pipes for the time being. And the idea is to have the first room, this room here. This isn't up to scale, by the way. These rooms can't be as big as the workshop above ground. We have a sort of maximum of 8 foot unsupported ceiling, and that's because the general rule of thumb is with doing things underground, and we're talking underground. We're not in the ground, we're underground, and there's a big difference, Like, no disrespect to Mr. Furs and other people that do the container burying. They're in the ground. They're not technically underground because the soil above isn't self-supporting for the soil to be self-supporting above, or the rock or whatever else. You need at least 2 times the width of the room above your head. So if you've got an 8 foot room, you've got a room 8 foot wide, you need at least 16 foot above your head, and then the soil or whatever else you're underneath will support itself, apart from the little bit directly above you, which you need to have a strong roof to support. Why'd I come out with that? I don't know. Jesus Christ. Take your medicine and shut up. Alright. So that's the first little room. So we'll have the vent pipes coming down, and the first room will be, I don't know, will be the generator room, for which we'll need an exhaust pipe going back up. We'll also need some sort of heat exchange system. These are the little details, like everything else. The big things I've got worked out in my head, but the little details, like how do you get rid of the heat from a Perkins 4108 underground? The exhaust, we can pipe that up. The heat, like, do you just pipe all the water up, or do you try and take the heat out with the exhaust air from the whole complex? Because things will get hot in an underground. Any underground sort of room or anything. Fucking trains. Okay. And maybe a compressor down there as well, and all the batteries for the self-generated power that isn't coming from the turbine, from the bucket generator. Battery bank down there, because obviously at the minute I've got containers above ground with my batteries in it and the solar on top, and that's where I used to have the turbine. But I'd like to have a much bigger. I mean, ideally, I don't trust the energy providers in this country. I do live in the hope that one day I can get my whole house off grid. As far as energy is concerned. Water, I'm not that fussed around. There's plenty of water around here. If you don't mind drinking pesticide, I could have an infinite amount of water. We could even just put a little tap in the wall down here, at the right level. And then we'd have plenty of water, wouldn't we? Right? So what am I saying? So this first room, no matter what, first room is sort of the environmental systems, heating, ventilation, blowers, and everything else, and the generator, compressor, and the idea of getting a generator down here when I've got solar and wind up top is that I would like to get a three-phase system, so you know I can get a nice big Lang lathe in my machine shop there. Three-phase tools are always cheaper. You know, you can get nice three-phase equipment a lot cheaper because it basically rules them out of the domestic resale market, I suppose. Yeah, people are scared of converting them, but you know, like if you got a 5 horsepower motor, you can't really convert that. You can't really put you can't get single phase 5 horsepower motors anyway. So yeah, you're either going to have an underpowered lathe or you're going to toast your electrics somewhere along the line. Like it's probably doable, like if you ran a special supply from your breaker box, but that's the idea of it anyway. So we'll have a remote start for the generator up top. So when I want to use the big Lang lathe, I can just you know, and you know, whatever the exhaust pipe on top will go, and whatever the gen set running down here. You know, yeah. One thing I did miss up here. I mean, I haven't got too much detail up top. I really want another separate room for hot stuff, so like, you know, a hot stuff area, so casting and forging and that. Like at the moment I don't have that, and it's always dirty, whether it's casting or forging. Casting, there's sand everywhere, isn't it? Forging, there's coal dust and all that shit. Nice big chimney. I mean, really it'd be nice to build a cupola and you know, get the iron foundry going, but hey, you know, hey, there's nothing wrong with ambition, is there, eh? Alright. So yeah, obviously there's a lot more here than just the generator room, and the whole point of this, yeah. You know, I know this is something someone just asked me whether, you know, Colin Furze inspired me. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't know who started first, because I started digging that hole. It's actually the year mummy became an angel. She's in hospice and that, and I just went and fucking dug a hole, innit? So, you know, take your mind off things, isn't it? And you guys didn't actually see it until a year later. I think I took some footage of that early hole digging, and I probably looked a lot slimmer, and then only showed it to you a year later when I got back into the hole digging. So yeah, I wouldn't say Colin Furze inspired me, but definitely bunker videos do incredibly well on YouTube. Might not yet, but hopefully they will soon. You know, whatever, doesn't matter. You know, as long as you guys are here, that's all that matters really. Oh, I've got 4 minutes left on this fucking battery. I feel like I chat for hours and all bollocks. Let's swap that before it switches up. Okay, yeah. So we're talking about why I'm doing all this. One of the reasons, there are a multitude of reasons, if you like. One of the reasons was somewhere to put CNC equipment. Yeah. Now, I don't like computers very much at all. Like, you know, tiny bit of a technophobe, I suppose. You know, I love doing stuff with my hands, but obviously there's things that would be far quicker and not take away from the finished product, and also things that are just, you know, flat out impossible with what I've got here. And yeah, I suppose that, you know, like a plasma table would massively reduce the time it took me to make stuff. And with that, you can be more creative, can't you? You know, if I've got in the back of my mind, like, it's going to take me bloody ages to file and cut all that, like, I might make it out of a couple of bits instead, or, you know, whatever. I think I do want to enter the 21st century and get some CNC equipment eventually, and a CNC router as well. You know, that was one of the things with the knife making, where I did that little trial run of my mini parangs and that, and you know, part of that was to see how quickly I could get a knife made if I did them in batches. I figured a load of stuff out. Made the clicker press for cutting the leather out, and made the wax wax treating vat, and it's all. I mean that process of getting the time down from the initial prototype, which is a couple of days or whatever, down to like 4 hours per blade, like including the sheath, was I really enjoyed that process, yeah. But obviously, I need to get it down much lower. I mean, the end goal with the knives anyway, and why I haven't done anything since, is I want to be at the same sort of price point as Opinel and the cheaper Moras, and be able to supply an awesome product for that sort of money, isn't it? Like not like £500 knives that no one's going to ever want to take out because they cost so much, but something almost not disposable, something that you'd want to keep forever, but you'd not be afraid to actually do cool stuff with, like, and open a tin of beans if you really had to. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I wanted to be, and I just love the idea of a CNC router doing like the the checkering you get on the gun grip. So many possibilities like that, with relatively little cost. Either way, so that was the incentive for looking into CNC stuff, and I don't feel like I could stay true to myself if I was to do CNC stuff below ground, above ground, isn't it? Like, the only way for me to hold my hand on my heart and say I'm doing the right thing is if I do it in an underground James Bond villain super lair. I know you all agree, that's fine, excellent. Okay, so well, obviously the CNC equipment will have to be out of the way in its own little places with its own extraction, sealed off, and lots of reasons for having lots of separate spaces. Fire is one of the most dangerous things underground. Obviously, for there to be a fire, you need a source of ignition and a fuel. I intend having lots of both of them all around, but so we'll need like sort of panic switches and that, switches that I can hit and that will immediately cut all the ventilation and seal up anything. So that's the quickest way to stop a fire, isn't it? In a building, at least, anyway, which is something that you can very rarely do. I mean, really, if we got a fire in one of these rooms, then just stopping the ventilation from it and the presence of self-closing doors should mean things are pretty safe, as long as things like the ductwork out is fire retardant, fireproof, whatever. Ventilation, okay, that's you probably noticed the big wind turbine up here. Yeah, it kind of looks like a big chimney going all the way down here. Yeah. All right. So the holy grail of underground structures is something that's self-ventilating. Yeah, because the damp is one of the biggest problems underground. Not just the damp from not just the damp from the walls and stuff. Hopefully we can eliminate most of that. I mean, I'm hoping so, because we're going to have a bloody big library down here, with wingback chairs, like a gentleman's club and that. Yeah. I shouldn't be on the rhyme, isn't it? I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah. So the Holy Grail is a self-ventilating system. Yeah, so you don't have to have blowers going 24 hours a day. There's various rules and that you need to have. You should always aim to have an airflow of the volume of your underground structure. Have that air replaced every 3 hours or something like that. I can't remember whether it's 3 hours. But that takes a lot of energy, doesn't it? Especially, it becomes more important if there's let's say there's lots of people down there in bomb shelters and things like that. There's designs for the Cold War bunkers and that. homemade, when people were building a lot of underground shelters, you know, the height of the Cold War and that, and you know, all these designs and commercially available hand operated air blowers to circulate the air. Pedal powered blowers were, you know, something that was pushed. The idea of that was pushed quite a bit, because in a nuclear war you wouldn't necessarily have mains electric, would you? And people weren't so hot on having big battery banks and things like that back then. But yeah, obviously that was for breathing, and they weren't so concerned about circulating the air in order to prevent dampness. But any sort of sealed up area, you'll get damp. And so if we can avoid having to pump that air around, then we can create a natural draft, and control the air that's being pulled through that natural draft, by having a dirty great big chimney, yeah, then that would be a tremendous achievement. But also, if we've got a dirty great big chimney, it makes total sense to stick a really big wind turbine at the top of it. So the idea of having a second entrance or exit as well means that I could have a tunnel dedicated to removing the earth and stuff. So what I'd probably look at doing is building this main shaft, and we've got a long way to go before that's finished. Yeah, although I've only got 2 more pipe sections to put on this main shaft. I've then got to concrete the floor at the bottom of it, and that needs a sump in it, because all the water in this complex megalopolis will go to that sump at the bottom of the entrance shaft, yeah, and from there well pumps will send it straight up, and that should be nice clean water by the time it gets there. We then got to stabilise the top, and so for now I'm just gonna rent a trench rammer and a mini digger. I've got some work I need to do with the mini digger anyway, and I'll excavate as far down as I can get with that mini digger, and then I'll have to use a spade or whatever until I get to a sensible depth, and then with the trench rammer I'll just compact. It will take me a long time, but hopefully I can get it all done within a weekend. If I've got 10 ton of crushed concrete, then that'll hopefully be enough to pack around the top of the shaft, and then the start of one of these buildings. Get that packed down. But we're going to build a compactor anyway, so I don't have to do all the hard standing for the building in one go. So then the shaft will be done, and then and as soon as that shaft's done and we figured out a lift, I don't know if it's going to be a temporary solution, or if I can get all the materials I want at the right price right now, then we'll do the lift proper before we start going horizontally. Okay, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And like I say, the where it's getting its power from at the minute isn't that important, even if it's just a stopgap. One of those little portable Honda hydraulic power packs to power the hydraulic winch, that'll be okay for now. Even if it's really, really slow coming up, as long as it can pull up all the earth that I'm taking out of the horizontal dig, that's fine. Because we're going to start pulling out over a ton at a time, So that's kind of why I want to get as much of the winch done now as possible, so that we can. I looked at one of you suggested the opal mining skip buckets. Excellent, exactly what I needed. But if I'm going to put in a proper lift that'll take a ton, then I don't need to do an automated system. I'm fine with leaving the hole every time there's a ton to be removed. That's okay. It's just whilst I was digging, and to be honest, I was being a little bit pathetic. I just needed to focus and dig harder, and not worry so much about going up and down the ladder. And I'm happy with that ladder. It's a good safe ladder on that hole. So then once that's done, we start coming horizontally, and then as soon as we start coming horizontally, I need to have my precast concrete roof and wall sections ready to go. Really I needed them ready to go a month before I start going horizontally, so I have just got a big cement mixer that needs a lot of work. That's the next thing after I finish the compressor. And then we'll make some glass fibre moulds for the concrete sections, and then we'll cast the concrete, and then I won't be able to use them for a month. Yeah, a month definitely. I'm going to leave them a month. Need to get them good and cured. So I do have a little cement mixer. I could start making them now, but I kind of don't want to. I want to get that big cement mixer working because it's going to be cool. So that might be a tiny bit of a hold up. I mean, maybe I could cut it down to about 2 weeks. I don't know. Probably quite a silly thing to do. You know, concrete takes a long time to get its full strength, isn't it? It's about, it always carries on increasing in strength, I think, until the increase is negligible, basically. But after a month, you're pretty much there. Yeah. So we need those precast sections, and the idea is that I'll have temporary supports in the roof, so I can dig, and then when I've got enough dug to warrant stopping and putting up 3 or 4 roof sections and wall sections, that's what we'll do. We'll stop and do that. I think that covers it. I kind of think that covers it. Yeah, most of it, most of the important stuff. Chimney. I'd love to do this in brick, but I don't think I can. So I suppose the idea would be to get more of, a slightly smaller diameter concrete pipe to what I'm using, go the whole way down. Hopefully by the time we get over here, I've figured out a way of mechanising this whole process. I have seen, so in Eastern Europe or somewhere, they had a big drill on the back of a tractor, like PTO driven. That was a really, really good way of sinking a well. Yeah, I mean, that's so quick. Like, I'd be an idiot not to try and do something like that. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'd use the same concrete pipe, but just a smaller diameter to come down, and then once I'd finish that shaft, I'd then go back up with the concrete pipe. So it may be only 2 foot diameter, and that's the vent pipe. So it would be a squeeze to get in and out of it if I had to, but possible. Yeah. So if this one for whatever reason got completely blocked, then you could just about squeeze up there 2 foot. I've got quite broad shoulders, yeah, but I think I'd squeeze up a 2 foot pipe if I had to, and if you lose your footing and fall, like, you can't really fall that fast. Like, you might get some pretty unpleasant grazes and whatnot. But yeah, and then on the outside of this one, I like the idea of just going up the outside with bricks. That it wouldn't have to be that strong. It's just a facade basically, but it would make it look like a brick chimney, wouldn't it? And what? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And then big wind turbine on the top, but also the vent. Yeah. So there's a couple of questions that people have asked, like some that are getting asked regularly, and others that are just very good questions. Now I can't remember who's asked these questions specifically, but that's not important. The thing is the question. Obviously they've all disappeared now, haven't they? All the questions. So the shipping container one, yep. Why didn't I just bury the shipping container? Hopefully now that you've seen the model and now that you know what I'm thinking, that should explain why I'm not using a shipping container. In order to get a shipping container down here, you'd have to dig such a massive hole in the ground, if it was to be properly underground. Like most people that bury shipping containers, they're up here, aren't they? So maybe you only got to remove 30-40 tonne of material, I don't know, something like that. Perhaps a bit more, but but if I was to want to put something deep below the surface, you'd have to like excavate half of Lincolnshire to get it down there. And the other thing is, like, you'd have to do it all in one go. So if I wanted all these buildings down there, I'd have to dig that massive pit, put everything down there, and well, rather than what I intend to do, which is like, you know, just do one thing at a time, and we can progress, and we don't ever have to stop digging. You know, like if I built all this, I just thought, you know what, I don't quite feel like I'm deep enough yet. I just go to my library and think, oh yeah, I'm going to go in the library and have another entrance to another level down in the library, and maybe in 5 years' time, I'm showing you the Mega Legalops model, and there's a third level on it. You know what I mean? Like, the possibilities are endless. You know, yeah. Apparently, one of the farmers has had a borehole sunk. He's basically got a well. There's a what do you call it? A spring, an underground spring or whatever. That comes from all the way from Derby down to Lincolnshire, and he's tapped into it under incredible pressure. So like, I don't know what happens if I bump into that. Obviously the entire project is lost just like that. Hopefully I'd be able to get out of there in time, I suppose. But yeah. Yeah. He says there's granite down there. Richard, he says, you know, hello mate, if you ever watch this. Says he got a sort of, because they did a core sample, that's the one. You know, they take it out and they look at all the different bits of soil that come out. You know, he said that, you know, he'll have a look. It was a long time ago. I think his father got it done, and now Richard's son's running the farm. So, you know, it's a few generations there, isn't it? Yeah, nice guy. But either way, yeah, you know, he's the one that had the borehole sunk, and he's about 1 or 2 miles away from me. So yeah, I don't know. Am I going to bump into that same thing? I don't know. Maybe I should have got a core sample done first. That would have taken all the fun out of this, though, wouldn't it? Eh? So yeah, that's, you know, burying a container would be very limited, wouldn't it? And yeah, part of the reason for doing this, another one of the reasons is, it's a tremendous challenge getting through the water table, and you know, the challenges have only just begun, haven't they? And then going horizontally, which leads on to another question from Dee, I remember, because she just asked a minute ago, about whether or not I have to carry on going until I find solid ground. No, I do not. Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be sensible, but we've got a set amount of pipe, and we're going to use it. We're going to send all that pipe down, and if the ground's not solid, and like, to be honest, I'm at a point now where I've gone through sandy clay, and that's only going to be a few foot above the ceiling. Bloody trains. Still going. So, with that in mind, like, I'm really going to have to just assume now that when I'm at the 24 foot depth, 28 foot it is now, that I'm going to be in loose material, yeah, because even if I'm not in loose material right at the bottom, there's potential for there to be sand literally a foot above my head. And so we'll have to go with the Brunellian method of building a cutting shield. So we'll basically just have a rectangular box, and that will be jacked off the walls that are finished behind me forwards into the muck, and I'll be inside that when I'm digging. So there's never any point where it can all collapse and kill me. Which is, you know, excellent, but it's, you know, not anything clever that I thought of. It's something clever that Brunel did, you know, a long time ago. Figured all that stuff out, you know, when he went under the Thames Tunnel, which is, you know, what a lot of what I'm doing is based on, isn't it? Like, just, you know, a lot easier for me because I've got the internal combustion engine and precast concrete sections, isn't it? He just did everything with brick and Irishman. Yeah. So what? You know, that guy was half French. You know, Jesus, like all my childhood illusions, because I, you know, see a lot of his, you know, obviously my dad was an engineer, isn't it? And you know, I'm pretty sure we've been around every museum with old stuff in it in the country, or good old stuff, like interesting old stuff, not fucking paintings and whatnot, like actual stuff made of rivets and coal-fired. What, you know, yeah, you know, always I've obviously known the name Brunel since I was a wee lad. It's only the last 4 or 5 years that I've really appreciated the fact that he was half French. The good half mine, the kind that didn't go down the you know, socialist barbarian route. Right. Jesus, I'm too much. Cheers. So, because his dad had to escape the socialists, i.e. Napoleon, who, you know, was worse than Hitler in every. Yet the French still celebrate him, which is really blows my mind. Absolute bastard of a man. Jesus, I mean, how do they get away with that? Just because they're French and everyone's like, you know, if we say anything about him being a massive bastard, they'll just moan about it for ages. So let's just let them have it. You know, they don't have much, do they? You know what I mean? Oh God. Vive la France. Anyway, yeah, God, I'm only messing. Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't understand across the world. Like it's something like we're obliged. The French do it to us. We do it to them. It's not something an Englishman chooses to do. It's a bit like the way the Scots, you know, hate the English, isn't it? You know, they don't really. I mean, some of them probably do, but you know, it's not. You know, it's just the way it has to be, isn't it? For things to. And we all hate our politicians, isn't it? I think that's where you're going wrong in the States, isn't it? Like people actually like, you know, like their politicians so much that you can't hear anything bad said about it. You can't disagree with them, which is. I mean, no one's perfect, are they? Like, you know, whichever side you are, it's like, you know, you've got to rinse the shit out of your politicians, isn't you? My brother was like head over heels with Jeremy Corbyn, isn't it? It's like, oh, I won't let a bad word be said about him. It's like, fuck, mate. You know you're in trouble when you've got fanaticals, isn't you? Yeah, it just shouldn't happen. Not here anyway. It's just not natural, isn't it? Like that's why everyone gets on, you know, for the most part, apart from those folk that are stabbing each other up. Yeah. Thank God they ain't got guns, eh? I'm only messing. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what? Oh, that was a complete. What was that? Oh yeah. So yeah, Frenchman. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, obviously going horizontal in loose soil is entirely possible. I'd rather not. You know, I'd rather it was solid, but we're doing it. Yeah. Well, we're gonna even if it is solid, when we get another 10 foot down. I'm going to assume that it's not and go with the digging shield, and that way hopefully I won't die. Alright, I can't really remember any other questions at the minute. Through probably leave the video there, and I know there's only 2. Just a reminder, yeah, any sorts of ideas with that winch, what the extra plumbing's for. I'll have a look for the manual, but you know, if anyone can tell me, that would be appreciated. I think that's it, folks. Any ideas you get, like, you know, hit me up. Yeah, I'm all ears. Right. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun, really, isn't it? Eh? Well, no, it's not just a bit of fun. It's my, you know, obviously Bond villain super layer. But yeah, that's the idea anyway. Hopefully, with your help, you know, and obviously the fact that Colin Furs is doing some more digging at the minute, these videos will gain a bit of traction, and then, you know, I'll actually have the money to fund all of this. You know, if not, well, we'll find a way, won't we? Just take a bit longer, won't it? Yeah. It's mostly just concrete now, isn't it? It's not that expensive, and we can get concrete in the shops again now because we had a bit of a shortage, thanks to virus. But that's all done now, isn't it? No such thing as a virus anymore. No, of course there is. Like, just you can get concrete in the shop again now, isn't it? That's all right. Cement, all right. So that's it, guys. Yeah. Hopefully this has been as fun for you as it has for me. Hope you like my model of the Megalopolis. workshopolopulouse. What? Never mind. The workshop and the associated underground construction project. Yeah. Alright. Cool. Take it easy, folks. I'll catch you all again soon, and next video we'll just build something, I suppose. Yeah. See you later. Bye bye.